Gary Vaughan-Smith. I work at SilverStreet Capital. We're based in London and we have offices in Africa, and we're a specialist investor into the agricultural sector.
So you finance and develop companies in agriculture sector in sub-Saharan Africa. What does this development mean in practice? What do you do?
So what we're doing is investing in companies that require capital. We're injecting the capital and helping them expand and generally becoming more profitable. And our focus in terms of the companies are those companies which benefit the smallholder farmers in Africa the most and make a good return for our investors.
So if you look at the sector as a whole, how do you see the current situation? What are the trends to look for as an investor?
At the moment you have the whole industry, the whole sector is dominated by smallholder farmers in Africa. Most of the food production is smallholder farmers, and these farmers are mostly women. 2/3 of them are women, and their productivity on the farms is far below that achieved in the US, in China and in Europe. So the yields, the tons per hectare, are very low. So in corn, for example, only 1.5 tons per hectare, whereas in the US someone might achieve 8 to 10 tons per hectare. So there is an opportunity there to raise those yields and to help those farmers, and then to also provide a market for a high value crop.
How do you do it in practice?
So in practice, there's 3 areas we focus on. The first is on the input side. So there's a real problem on the input side in finding high quality hybrid seed. With highest quality seed, the farmer can have a better yield on the farms. And secondly, a market for a higher value crop. So instead of growing low value crops like corn or cassava, the farmer needs a market. And a market normally looks like a processing plant. So if you can build a processing plant, and that's the sort of thing we do, then you're providing a market. So a good example would be tomatoes. If we build a tomato pasting factory, then we're providing a market for tomatoes in that area. And that's a really nice high value crop for a farmer to start growing in rotation with maize and other crops.
What are the key challenges at the moment, if you look at the sector as a whole, or as an investor or as an agriculture company?
The key challenges are many to do with an infrastructure. So there's a lack of infrastructure, and also education and training. So there's a need for better logistics. There's a lack of storage. It's estimated about 30% of the smallholder crop is lost through storage. And on the technique side, the farmer's technique is not good enough. It needs to be improved to help the yields increase. And finally, there's not enough processing in these countries to help provide markets for different crops. So everybody seems to grow the same crop.
So what is needed?
So what's needed is patient long-term capital. So the amount of capital needed if you want to build, let's call it that tomato pasting factory, it's too large for precious government money and donor money. So what you need are ethical long-term investors who are willing to commit for, say, a 10-year period to help build that business, and that creates a market for smallholder farmers who then can sustainably make more money. And then the NGO and the government money, which is much scarcer and harder to come by, can be focused specifically on training in particular and supporting that group. So in that example, training farmers to grow tomatoes and to get the right varieties and so on.
And do you see this happening?
Very much so, yes. I think there's a little bit of a scattergun approach. So I think one has to look at where the maximum benefit is per dollar of investment. So in my example of the tomatoes, let's say we went and built a corn processing plant. It roughly costs the same. However, the crop that we're trying to process is a low value crop. So the farmer's not really making any more money growing the corn for us. We'd rather give them the market for a high value crop like tomatoes. So if we can focus the capital on those areas that benefit this very large group of the population, it's 60% of the population, and it's the lowest earning group. It's living on small farms of 1 to 2 hectares.
well, look at the challenges. How do you see the climate change affecting the area and the sector now and in the future?
The most important change has been in volatility of the climate. So you're seeing the rainfall varying more, and within season and across seasons. So you may get sudden downpours and then nothing for a few weeks. And so this is a problem for a farmer if you don't have irrigation. And so it's important, if as an investor you want to be in those areas where there's the highest probability, so you're in the optimal zone for growing that crop, where even if it varies you're okay. But secondly, to have irrigation. So we have built dams and put in irrigation across all of our crops, and that's what we do. And that's one of the ways of mitigating that. The other important thing is to grow the right crop for that climate, not try and grow a crop that doesn't fit in that environment.
In many countries in the region, the population is growing very fast. So how is the sector and the production able to meet the needs of this growing population?
Yeah. The population is growing fast, the fastest in the world, the African population. So 2.5% to 3% per annum. So a country like Tanzania, the population is 53 million. It's growing at 1.5 million a year. So that's 1.5 million more people to feed a year. And it can be solved, and it's relatively easy in a sense because the yield, the productivity on the farms is so low. If the average yield is only 1.5 tons a hectare, you can easily get that to 4 tons a hectare, which is more than doubling the food production, simply by using the right seed and the right techniques through training. So we don't need lots of equipment, we just need to have the technique right and the right seed on the farms. So I think if you can raise the productivity on these smallholder farms, not only do you solve the food problem, you also you will move Africa to export. They'll be starting to export food, and you're raising the incomes of this group who are the lowest income group in the economies.
And how do you see your impact, the impact of the companies you are investing in? If you look at the societies and then the communities, in all levels.
Yeah.
How do you see that?
So the way we try to measure impact is to look at what economic benefit other people have directly from what we are doing. So how much more income are they making in a sustainable way? And we try to quantify that, and it can be brought about by providing that market for tomatoes. So now they are earning more than they were earning before, and we need them to grow tomatoes for the factory. They need us. So it provides a sustainable income. And so we quantify that on average. Typical farmers in the areas we've been operating, these smallholder farmers earn about $700 a year. And the farmers we've worked with now have increased that to about $1,300. So it's another $600 so far, and growing. And we've employed 6,200 people. The total number of people we've impacted is around 95,000 people. So, and by impact we mean they're each earning more money, more income. And that's how we quantify it.